Hello and welcome back to the TurboWare channel. I hope you are doing great and I hope you will enjoy today's episode of Short Car History, in which we are going to talk about the Ford GT40. So the Ford GT40, an icon of 60s endurance racing and probably one of the most iconic cars ever created. The Ford GT40 was created by Ford in order to compete at the 24-hour of Le Mans and to beat Ferrari at its own game after the failed negotiation of acquisition of the Ferrari company by Ford in 1963. The car's development was started and encouraged by Henry Ford II, and for Ford this was a huge task. Ford haven't had much experience in motorsports at this point except their presence in NASCAR racing, but endurance racing was something completely different, and the endurance racing scene was dominated by Ferrari at this time. So Ford went to a British company called Lola, who were already competing at the endurance scene with their custom built cars, but their cars ran Ford engines. So for this reason, Ford decided to work with them, and they have bought two of the Lola Mark 6s, and they have also signed John Wyer, who worked at Lola, to be the head of Ford's new program. As you can see on the pictures, the Lola Mark 6 is similar to the Ford GT, and it can be said that the Lola Mark 6 was the basis on which Ford has built its GT40. But why is it a GT40? So GT obviously means Gran Turismo, while the 40 refers to the car's height in inches. So it is GT40 because it was 40 inches high, but the official name of the car is only GT. The GT40 was more of a nickname, and funnily enough, Ford doesn't own the trade rights for the name GT40. It wasn't copyrighted by them. But this is about the naming convention. So the first car was completed by the end of 1963. It was car number 101, and it used a Ford Fairlane 4.2 liter V8. And the car's race debut was in 1964 when it competed at the Nürburgring in May. The car demonstrated its speed, but there were reliability issues, and this bit them in the ass in Le Mans at that year, when Phil Hill and Richie Ginter were leading the race and even set the fastest lap, but because of the reliability issues, they couldn't finish the race. And in fact, all GT40s got a DNF for different mechanical issues. For this reason, Ford had decided to hand over the racing team to Carroll Shelby for the 1965 season. And I think we all know Carroll Shelby, but he made some huge improvements to the cars. I think the most important of these was the new engine, a 7-liter Ford V8, and this engine was matched to a ZF transmission. And in 1965, the Ford GT Mark II, now with the bigger engine, scored its first victory at Daytona with Ken Miles and Lloyd Ruby at the wheels. The Shelby team incorporated many new technologies and innovations to the car, but I think the most interesting one is the quick change brake system developed by Phil Remington, and this solved the issue with brake fading. The Ford GT's brakes could be changed allegedly in around 60 seconds. We are talking about the rotors only. But sadly, Le Mans this year was a disaster again. All five GT40s got a DNF and Ferrari won. But in 1966, the good times have started. The the 7-liter engine was now producing around 463 horsepower, and the car could reach almost 200 miles per hour. And this was shown in Daytona, where they got a 1-2-3 finish. For that year's Le Mans, Ford made some really serious preparations. For example, they have run a development engine on dyno for 48 hours simulating the circuit, and expectations were huge. Even Henry Ford II was present at the pit boxes, and the 1966 Le Mans was a huge success for Ford. as it is depicted in the movie. They got a 1-2-3 win, with Chris Amon and Bruce McLaren winning, Ken Miles and Dennis Holm coming second, and Ronnie Bucknam and Dick Hutcherson coming third. It was a bit of a controversial win, but I won't go into details at this time. Maybe in a future video we can explore Le Mans 1966. But what felt even sweeter for the Ford team was that Ferrari only finished 8th. So they basically show to the world and show to Enzo that they were not only building ugly cars in some factory in Detroit, but they could compete on the highest level of motorsport. The GT40 went on to win many more races, but its last triumph came in 1969 with Jackie X and Jackie Oliver. But on the horizon, there was already the Porsche threat, which would dominate Le Mans for years. And interestingly, there were only about 120, 124 GTs made, and 30 of these were road specs based on the Mark I version. And these road specs had softer suspension, quieter exhausts, and more comforts. They were created to meet homologation requirements, and nowadays all original GT40s are rare and their price is going higher and higher. But this was the short history of the GT40. I hope you enjoyed the video and leave your thoughts in the comments. I wish you a nice day and see you again.